Okay. Let's go back to something interesting. I like these topics where like people talk about life a little bit. So let's just get into a video that is probably like the not the most not the most not the most uh the most happy video, but it's something you always learn something, and there is always something to get out of these videos. For me, for you, and for yeah. So let's check it out. Why real growth? Uh, bro, like, I can I subscribe? The fuck is this? I don't want any perks. The fuck happened to YouTube? Learn more about subscribe plus. I was maybe already subscribed. Okay. So, why real growth feels like loss? Let's check it out.
So I'm sitting here and just reflecting on this past year, and I started to realize how much I've grown and that it's something I should be proud of. But then I also have this lingering thought in the back of my mind that it's also been one of the most painful years of my life. And I started to think there's a lot of pain involved with growing. When I hear about growth, I usually think about something that's exciting and positive, like a breakthrough moment or a dramatic transformation. That's why people love the idea of a New Year's resolution. We set a goal that we think will change our lives and make us look completely different by the end of the next year. But the growth I experienced was nothing like this. I don't have a dramatic before and after photo that I could post on my socials. When I reflect on
Yeah, sometimes growth doesn't come from the fact that you learned something and it made your life better. It comes from actually your life got completely messed up. You got destroyed, and you had to grow. You had to grow up. You had to grow, and you had to survive. And because of that, you felt growth. I'm pretty sure that this is not like what he tries to explain, but for some, this is sadly like mostly the type of growth that they felt in their life, where life fucking like was becoming just like unbearable, and they had to fix problems that they should have never been even concerned about, and this is what made them who they are. And sometimes, when this happens often and often, like, do not blame the player, blame the game, and just try to fucking like get an idea like of what changed them, what made them who they are. And maybe sometimes you'll find more empathy towards individuals that seem just unapproachable and just mean in general, because the story is true, like you don't end up being a criminal for no reason. You don't end up being a jerk for no reason, you know?
how I've changed, I think about things I've let go, the time I spent questioning who I actually am, and all the moments when it felt like I was just stumbling through the dark. Social media makes us think that growth is a straight line, loud and flashy, but real growth is messy, uncomfortable, and sometimes deeply painful. At least, that's what I experienced. And the pain is a necessary part of the process. To grow means to change, and change is naturally uncomfortable. Who doesn't want stability and familiarity? It's why we cling to routines and relationships that may not help us anymore. They're familiar and they make us feel safe. When we start to grow, we disrupt that sense of safety. And when that goes away, we start to feel anxiety or emptiness because we're changing our circumstances. We're changing ourselves. Think about starting a new habit, like waking up early to exercise. At first, it feels like you're losing sleep, and comfort and whatever routine that you had before. Your body is probably resisting, and your mind tries to convince you it's a waste of time, and everything is telling you to give up. That discomfort is a natural reaction to change, but it doesn't mean that the change is bad. Growth is painful because we're getting rid of the old to make way for the new, and that's never easy. One of the hardest parts of growth is letting go of old habits, old identities, sometimes even people. These things might have defined us for years, shaping how we see ourselves and how we see the world. Letting them go feels like we're losing a part of who we are.
And I think that one of the things that he doesn't mention is also how your daily habits are profoundly reshaped because you choose to grow. Let's say you don't spend hang around with your friends that were like really toxic to you, you know. Well, it reshape even if it was bad, it reshapes your schedule, you know. And there's a moment, and each time for like a long time, there will be like a moment in your week where you'll be, yeah, I used to fucking hang out with people I used to like, you know, back in the day. Or when you try to have a new habit, like, and it's something that is challenging, tell yourself, yeah, back in the day, like I wasn't fucking struggling at this hour, you know? I wasn't fucking doing these efforts at this hour. So yeah, I completely understand. Like,
Even if it doesn't align with what we want to become. I learned this firsthand when my dad passed away last summer. He was such a strong presence in my life, even when we stopped talking every day. He and I share the same first names. I'm a junior and he was a senior. So my whole life, I felt like I had this name that I had to live up to become a better version of him. When he died, that part of my identity also felt like it went away. I wasn't just the eldest son anymore. I couldn't ask for his advice or for him to bail me out of a tough situation. Growing up meant stepping into roles that I wasn't ready for.
and this, not to nope, I'm not like to cold talking about this. This can happen with your friends or your girlfriends, or like it doesn't only take death, you know. Sometimes separation is enough for to feel the same feeling, and it is normal, but it is, depending on the person, it can be heart-wrenching, you know. Really, 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 really can be messed up, you know.
Like being the head of the house and taking care of my mom and my brothers. Letting that go initially felt like I was losing a part of myself and a connection to him. But as time passed, I realized that letting go didn't mean losing my connection. It meant honoring it in a new way. It meant that I outgrew that part of me. And outgrowing something doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means that whatever you outgrew doesn't align with what you're turning into. This could be a job or a mindset or even a relationship. Maybe you've been friends with someone for years or even in love. But as you grow, you might realize that your priorities don't align. Outgrowing can be painful because it comes with a sense of nostalgia and guilt. You might feel like you're abandoning something or someone that was important to you at one point, but that's a sign that you're changing. It's not failure or betrayal. I experienced this with a group of friends that I've known since elementary school. As we grew older, especially in this year, it felt like we were going in different directions. They were prioritizing things and experiences that I wasn't. And at first, I tried to hold on. I thought if I could just bring them with me, we can keep things the way they were. But the truth is, you can't force somebody to grow with you in the same direction or even at the same pace.
And this is one of the sad realities where you get to discover if your friend is really your friend or not, because it is possible. It takes a lot of effort from both sides, but it's just the realization that, your friend, that you do not matter to your friend as much as you thought you did, is heartbreaking. And I've experienced that like many times where We went through other passes, and I was always the person willing to do the compromises because I really fucking love people. Okay, like I really fucking love everyone. I really, and usually it's more, well, usually with my personality, it's more of a can you handle me type of person that like usually end up being my friends. Just because I am all around. Like I am all around. I do a ton of things, and and I have a dark past, and I basically like I'm the cliche of the person that you do not recommend to your parents, or the person that you do not talk about to your parents, the person that you do not talk about to your other friends. Like not because like I was in relationships where it was like now that with like some retrospect, uh, I'm the type of person where like I'm too much for people. You ever heard that? Like this person is just too much. And not in a but thankfully it's not in a mean way, egocentrical way, or like just like not trying to show off or anything, but it's just like the energy level is just like unbearable to a lot of people. And so, yeah, outground relationships, I saw this many times where because because I have this ultra altruistic, ultra friendly type of I'm this ultra friendly type of person. I will fucking like keep the fire burning if it means that I have to do a couple more efforts. But then you do these couple more efforts and it's not enough. And this is where reality hits, you know? And you're like, yeah, I guess we were not meant to be friends with each other, or at least not anymore. And to be fair, like this has to be like one of the most like really heartbreaking, just like heartbreaking stuff that I lived.
I started to notice that our conversations felt empty, like something was missing, and our friendship just wasn't the same anymore. I felt guilty for pulling away, like I should have done more to keep the friendship up, but deep down, I knew that holding on to it would have only held me back. Outgrowing that friendship felt like losing a piece of my childhood, leaving all those inside jokes and late nights of straight yapping. But over time, I realized that letting go wasn't about turning my back on them. It was about respecting what we had while making space for what's ahead. Some relationships aren't meant to last forever, and that doesn't make them any less meaningful. Growing up feels painful.
Okay, sorry, really to interrupt on that. When the fuck did people started saying yapping? I have been outside of the internet for like I've been like not fucking like doom scrolling like for like a couple times for some time, and then everyone says that they're yapping. Where does it comes from? Tell me, when did it started? When did people started yapping? Please tell me. I feel so behind because I'm like, so people yap these days, huh? These days, huh? What the fuck does it mean? I guess it means like chill talking, like just like talking. Okay, I got that. When did it started? I missed the memo. What? I I just fucking like I just went back online, and I was like, yeah, everyone is yapping, and I'm like, the fuck does it mean yapping? Where the fuck does this word come from? We're yapping. Like, please tell me. Uh, I'm sure I'm not the only one who just like discovered the word yapping, and like when everyone was already like saying it, you know, like I really like had this fucking realization, and I was like, that's what people yap, huh? The fuck does it mean? And why does everyone does it? Where does it come from? Tell me. I'm so done.
Painful because it makes us face the reality that we can't carry everything and everybody with us as we move forward. Letting them go can feel like a step backward, like you're losing more than you're gaining. And that's probably the hardest part about progress. It's not always immediate or obvious. You put in the effort, but the rewards take time to show. And during that time, while you're waiting, it can feel like all your hard work is for nothing. You're putting in this time and energy and sacrifices, but the results haven't caught up yet. It can make you feel like a failure. You might think, why am I even doing this? Nothing's changing. When I started therapy, it felt like I was digging up more pain than healing. My therapist was challenging parts of me that I believed in and associated myself with for years. And each session we talked about things I thought I had figured out or buried. It was painful and confusing, but I kept going to our sessions and eventually I picked up on some subtle changes. I was kinder to myself, more patient with others, and less reactive in stressful situations. I was improving, but I just couldn't see it in the moment. All I could think about was what I was struggling with, and I couldn't see what I was gaining in the long term. And that's the key to navigating all the pain that comes with change. Instead of viewing progress as everything we're leaving behind, we have to think about how we're actually taking it and turning it into something new.
So there's a part of grief also because like like when it comes to progress, you are destroying a part of yourself, or at least like changing a part of yourself if we talk about real growth. So a real change in your life to improve it. Uh, you are you are really destroying and or like leaving behind something about your life to create some to push further, like to invest yourself in something new, right? Or you invest yourself in something new, and because of that, life changes. Your life revolves more about your project, what you want to do, and yeah, there's a lot of grief, and it doesn't mention it. There's a lot of grief to this old life where things were not as challenging because like when we talk about growth, well, there's a challenge, but like you really feel like you're there, you know? You're not fucking stuck on idle, and you're just kind of like vibing your life, you know? And this is interesting, like because of that, and because of your choice, well, fuck it. It becomes complicated because your life changes drastically, but at the same time, you need to, you're grieving your past life where it was easier, and and sometimes growth doesn't happen or it's not satisfying, right? But when it happens, and when you actually get what you want, out of life, well, good job on you, because not a lot of people like there isn't a lot of people who even chase that, you know. And if it's like there isn't a lot, there is a lot, but like there isn't a lot that commit to it until the end, you know.
I remember a couple months back when my wife asked me to help her repot one of the houseplants she was growing because it was growing like crazy. And I don't know anything about plants, okay? I've killed a cactus before. But while we were repotting it, she noticed there was some root rot. And if we wanted this plant to survive, we'd have to trim all those infected roots to give the healthy roots a chance. In the same way, if we want to keep building, it means that we have to let go of things that don't serve us anymore, even if it's painful in the moment. The discomfort and the grief are all part of the process of becoming something greater. If you're in a time in your life where you feel like you're progressing but it's painful, you need to realize a few things. It's okay to feel sad or uncomfortable. These feelings don't mean you're doing something wrong, they're just a natural part of the process. Remind yourself why you're changing in the first place. What's the bigger picture, and what are you working towards? It takes time. Trust the process, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Every time we move on from an old habit, or a mindset, or even a person, we make space for something new to take its place. The pain is a sign that you're becoming a more authentic version of yourself. Growth is hard, but it's also really beautiful. So keep going. Every day you're getting closer to who you're meant to be. Cool? Later.
I love these videos. Yeah, what he says is absolutely true. And I think that like there is a lot of credit that like he should get just because of how easily he was able to put into words stuff like this. Because like for a lot of people, people like me who actually I've done like I've studied pretty much like every single fucking industry that exists within this fucking like world, like it is not something new, you know, like there's a lot of people who actually search themselves, especially like young gamers, young people that just I think that like it's really amazing the way in 10 minutes he can just like reassure you about like certain things that are really important and that really brings clarity to some of your doubts. And I think that like this is really well done. I really like this YouTuber. Thank you again, Doozies, for this video. Really, really something that like brightened my day, because I know how much this type of video actually fucking helps people, you know, like because if you think if you like the moments you think that like you're someone like unbeatable or like unstoppable, that like nothing affects you, it's the moments actually where you are the most vulnerable person ever. Like there is like this is like a truth that is really important to understand. It's but the only type of people that you tend to see on social media, even on your local social media, you know, are these people that like that feels untouchable and that feels like unreachable, and usually they're the ones who are actually like the most vulnerable and everything, you know. So yeah, life is interesting. Life is interesting.